Ladies and gentlemen, the officer that shot and killed a Tatiana Jefferson has been charged with murder. But, we in the black community know a cop being charged for murder is absolutely nothing. You know, we have to look at the overall history, and the overall history says they get a slap on the wrist, just like somebody like Amber Geiger, or they get out of it altogether. We've seen it over and over and over. And it just, it is absolutely unacceptable. And we better start acting like it's unacceptable too. We should never have ever from the beginning accept our deaths at the hands of these people. It's the same people killing us for centuries are still doing it today. That should tell you they have no intentions on stopping this. The only one that really have to change in this whole thing is us. We can't keep looking at these situations, be angry in the moment, and then move on. No, hold their feet to the fire. Make them accountable. There'll be no forgiveness. No hugging, no kissing, no prayers. Forget about all of that. It don't work. If that shit really worked, we would have seen it. It's been centuries. How come it haven't worked? Give me one example where you prayed and we got justice after somebody was killed unarmed. Give me the example of it. If you don't have no example of it, get all that mess out of your head. It don't work. Don't give your energy to these people. When you hug them, you're giving them your energy. Cut that mess out. So this came out in the New York Times. Fort Worth officer charged with murder for shooting woman in her home. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just evident. We're really, truly not safe anywhere. We're not. I'm surprised they're not coming in the bathroom stall and blowing your head off at this point. They'll probably get around to it real soon. So, this prick's name is Aaron Dean, and he allegedly resigned hours before he was going to be fired. He wrote some little one-liner and was fired. They said he was very difficult and refused to cooperate. And they went back and they did arrest him at his home. So, a former Fort Worth police officer who fatally shot a woman while she was at home playing video games over the weekend was arrested and charged with murder on Monday. The latest development in the case that has sparked national outrage and renewed demand for police accountability. And ladies and gentlemen, stop falling for, and I know my subscribers ain't falling for this shit at all. Stop falling for this police just need more training. This is just an excuse for them to continue on doing the same things that they are doing. This is not a training issue. This is a racist issue. And it has been from the beginning, from the slave catching days all the way up to modern day slave catching days. Because we're still in those times, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're the most targeted. Now, they keep talking all that you're the most violent. Well, what was she doing that was the most violent when she got shot? See, start calling this stuff out. They can't justify that shit that they say to us. If you really hold their feet to the fire, they can't justify this shit. Okay, so let's say we go with we're the most violent. What most violent thing was she doing at the time when that violent cop, the real violent one, the cop, shot her through the window? She was sitting in that room playing video games with her nephew. So what most violent thing was she doing? The only one that I seen violent in the whole thing was the cop. And that's usually the same person consistently all through history. It's just like when they try to describe us as thugs and stuff on TV, but every time you see the person on TV with the gun, it's them. Okay. All right. So let's not get this shit twisted up in here. So this officer is Aaron York Dean, who is white, resigned earlier Monday, hours before police chief had planned to fire him amid growing anger and frustration in the community that a woman, a Tatiana Jefferson, had become yet another black person killed by the police, this time in the safety of her own home. Now, the door was propped open, ladies and gentlemen, because it was a warm day in Texas. And they were just, they just had the door propped open just to air the house out. You know how it is sometimes when a house is stuffy, when it's heat in the house. And sometimes you may not always want to turn on an air conditioner. So you'll prop a door open or crack open some windows, and who knows, they could have had both. We didn't see around the entire house. So from what I understand, that was a predominantly black neighborhood, and they don't see a lot of things like this in that neighborhood. So it tells you it's very much like Ferguson. They didn't have a lot of shootings in Ferguson. When you start finding out, the crime in Ferguson when Mike Brown was shot, it was not really that much crime. I think they were only averaging one murder a year. That was it. And that was a predominantly black community. So don't let these people try to fake you out, trying to make it seem like anywhere a bunch of black people live, it's violent. That is a damn lie. Even in the hood, they will tell you they average maybe, where my aunt lives, she lives in the hood. Okay. She told me you may average 2 murders a month around where she is. These folks act like it's the wild, wild west in the middle of the street. And number two, never listen to people that don't even live in the community. These motherfuckers don't live in the community. They don't know what's going on there. Police officers were responding to a call from a concerned neighbor when Miss Jefferson, 28, was shot through her bedroom window. And in my opinion, he got a demonic face. Seriously, he got a demonic face. And when you looked at his facial expression, you could just see his lips, but you could clearly tell this cop was looking for trouble. He was out there looking for trouble. And another thing I want you all to keep in mind, why did he park a block away and then come charging up to the house? He didn't park on the same street. He parked a block away. What was the purpose in doing that? This dude was looking for a problem. He was looking for a problem. The case resulted in a rare murder charge against the police officer only hours after the interim. Fort Worth Police Chief Ed Crass announced that the department was conducting a criminal investigation. Let me just stop right there. Nobody on this planet has faith in police departments investigating themselves. Y'all need to cut that mess out. Because when police departments investigate themselves, they will come back finding nothing. We got a whole history of looking at you doing that. A whole history of it. You should always refuse a police internal investigation. No. No. Okay, so they're conducting an investigation into the officer's actions and had reached out to the FBI about the possibility of starting a civil rights investigation. Yeah, you need an outside agency. And I'm not saying that's going to be any good. Look, let's face it, none of these agencies are in support of the black community. I mean, let's call it what it is. There is not one agency that got a track record of being supportive to the black community. None of them are. So you're calling in an FBI, you're just calling in another anti-black agency to come in and investigate everything. If these agencies are with us, you name one that's with us. Name one. None of them. CIA, FBI, local police, none of them are with us. Okay. I get it. Chief Crass said of the widespread public anger. And by the way, y'all, they said 10 people have been shot from a welfare call in Fort Worth in 6 months. These are not accidents. Now, I want to know who the other 9 victims were. Were they all black people? I want to know. I want to know who they are, because Lee Merritt is representing this case, and he said he got 2 other cases where someone called in a welfare check and they were shot. They were both shot, and they're his clients. But 10 people have been shot during a welfare check at their house. This is a deliberate act. These are not accidents. It's not a training issue. Cops do not need no sensitivity training. It's none of the above. So, of course, there was public anger, especially after everybody saw the body cam video where he shouts for her to put up her hands, and then a millisecond after he said it, he shot her. She didn't have a chance. And if you look, and LVZ was great in sending the picture of her standing, and you could see her image looking back at the police officer. You see it, plain as day. And even with her glasses on, you could see she was shocked that somebody was in her window. And of course, nowhere on the body cam do you hear him identify himself as a police. Now, he was on the force, from what they were saying, 18 months. So how many other cases did he run up on people or run up on people's houses and he didn't identify himself? He absolutely did not identify himself as a cop. And he had plenty of opportunity to do it. Number one, if he would have pulled up in his squad car and they saw the flashing lights, that would have been a clear indicator to the family that the police were outside. But he parked a block away. The door was propped open. He could have shouted through the door that the police, Fort Worth police. He didn't. He bypassed the open front door and went to the back of the house, never identifying himself. Okay, it showed that Miss Jefferson had given no warning that it was a police officer who had crept into her backyard, shined a light into her bedroom window, and shouted, "Put your hands up, show me your hands," immediately before firing a single fatal shot. Nobody looked at the video and said there was any doubt that this officer acted inappropriately. The chief said. Now, another thing he could have done, ladies and gentlemen, he could have went to the house of the person that made the phone call first and had a conversation about who was in that house. He could have done that. Cops do that all the time. If you call 911, they'll arrive and sometimes they'll go directly to the person's house that made the phone call. They could have done that too. So this cop, this is 100% negligence. And there should be 100% accountability to Fort Worth police. You hired this man. So anything he does out in the field that's inappropriate, you are accountable for it. Again, start holding their feet to the fire. Fuck all that forgiveness stuff. We don't have time for that. Okay. The unusual and rapid developments which followed a similar case in nearby Dallas, and we know that was Botham John that was shot in his house. And, Dallas and Fort Worth were side by side. So it highlighted longstanding tensions in Fort Worth, where residents have frequently complained about abuse at the hands of police. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been centuries of being brutalized by cops. It has been centuries. And you got to understand, many of these folks are trying to kick up a race war. And they want to make it appear as if we started it first. And they have not been able to conquer that yet. They have been failing for centuries, but attempting to do it for centuries. And they still haven't mastered how to make it look like we started the whole thing first. They can't seem to get it right. Okay? And there's a reason for that. See, when you're trying to do dirt to people, things are not going to turn out the way you think. So they're going to keep trying to come with, gun us down with a barrage of bullets, going to our houses, going to do things to our children, throwing our kids all over the ground, acting like they're some big hardened criminal. And they're going to keep this whole thing up because if you react to it, the first thing they're going to do is say you started the whole thing, which we know damn well we got centuries of proof that we couldn't possibly have started any of these things. Didn't start it from the slave catching days, didn't start it today. Got tons and tons and tons of proof. Okay. So since June of this year, Fort Worth officers have shot and killed 6 people. Since June. And we're in October. This is only making everybody say, what's the purpose in calling the cops if somebody's going to end up dead? I'd rather just take the risk on not calling anybody. That way people survive. And then ask yourself, why do we need people like this coming in? Why do we need this kind of police work? Somebody showing up and shooting somebody on the spot. That's not even a threat. Playing video games. Again, tell me what most violent thing she did. Speak your lies. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't need this kind of policing. If this is what they got to offer, we don't need it. White cops have proven they are incapable of doing the right thing in Black communities. They have showed us over and over and over that their intentions is to come in and brutalize and kill at all cost. When they are dealing with us, they are always dealing with us in a manner that they don't deal with anyone else. And if you want to sit there and claim we deserve it, how did Tatiana deserve it? Playing video games with a nephew. Prove how she deserved it. Prove it. Prove the shit or shut up. So the arrest is nothing. I'm not going to even make no big fucking deal out of the arrest. Amber Geiger turned herself in. She murdered someone and they let her turn herself in another county. The cops getting arrested in this country is a big fucking joke. Unless you're somebody like Muhammad Noor. Then they want justice and swift justice. But with us, we don't think we're going to do anything. Fuck you. Don't you come talk to me about nothing. So it's a bad culture when it comes down to policing in America. It's always been bad from the start. You can't take something, plantation police, and then turn them into something honorable. You can't turn that to anything honorable. This is why cops are not honorable today. They're not. I don't care what accommodations and awards they give each other. It's bullshit altogether. There's no honor in what they're doing. It was no honor in what they were doing when they were plantation police. You can't take a demon and make him righteous. It's never going to happen. So, I watched the press conference and I did post it on my community tab so that all of you could watch the family who sat with Lee Merritt, who did most of the talking. And, right now the community, they're saying they want justice. People are not out here talking about forgiveness and hugs and kisses and all that shit. That shouldn't even be on anyone's mind. So, she was a gun owner, but she did not have that gun at the time that she was shot. So don't let these people harp on that stuff. She was a legal gun owner, and it is nothing wrong with black people having guns. And when they start harping on that, and the mainstream media, one of the main culprits doing that, when they start harping on a black person had a gun, it is not illegal in America for a black person to have a gun. And you need to rise up and let them know that immediately. It is time for us to control the narrative and take it out of the hands of the people that mean no good for us, and take a firm stand in controlling the kind of narrative that comes out in the media. We got this in our hands. This is one of our own. This is one of our own. No, they don't get to dominate and say what goes. No, we dominate and say what goes and what information get out there. This is one of our own. We have the say, not the people that took her life. You don't have no say. Ladies and gentlemen, white cops should not be in black neighborhoods. It is a very inappropriate thing for somebody outside of yourself be watching over you. It's unnatural, and it has proven to be fatal for the black community. And we must speak on these things for what they are. We got centuries of proof, proving that when they show up in our neighborhoods, we already know somebody's going to die. Somebody's going to be brutalized. And we see how many flaws they have, grabbing wrong people and arresting them, trying to treat underage children like adults, roughing up children. We saw that with the 6-year-old where they took her down to juvenile trying to take some mug shots of a damn 6-year-old. They know damn well they would never in a million years have done that to a white child. And too many times we could come up with boatloads of cases where blacks were unarmed, no threat, and shot down in this country. We have more proof than any other group in this country when it comes down to police brutality and police murder. And we must speak these things. The only problem that we have when it comes down to policing in the black community are white cops. They are the root to the entire problem when it comes down to policing the black neighborhood. They don't have enough empathy to police us, and therefore they are the inappropriate cop to be in the community. Plain and simple. And if I'm wrong, you show me in the history where I'm wrong. You show me in the history of where I'm wrong. Show me. Show me. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.